Guys, Jordan Connect here with another episode of Embrace the Chase. And this is episode 35, where we have Frank Sell on tonight. And I'm pumped out of my mind because, as always, we are interviewing 100 entrepreneurs, authors, and speakers over the next year, compiling all of their stories and life lessons into a book that we'll be able to give out to you all. And it's going to be a blast. And Frank, for those of you that do not know him, is a superstar. He is the founder, president, CEO, what have you, of the Baby Beard Club, as well as one of the partners of Home of the Hustle. And I'm excited to have him on. Frank, is there anything you'd like to add, good sir?
You're giving me way too much credit.
No, man, your stuff is awesome. I love catching the Home of the Hustle in the evenings. Always fire content.
Oh man, appreciate that. It's really, we kind of look at it from the aspect of, man, what kind of information would help us go further down the road, and with that, man, we can either just try to find the information ourselves, or we can just create a show and everybody will get it.
I love it. I'm always learning something new. So let's go ahead and just dive right into everything. Can you kind of just tell us your story? How did you even become an entrepreneur, and how did all these projects kind of get started?
It's kind of, like with Expert Secrets, Russell Brunson talks a lot about, the epiphany. And I talk a lot about opportunity is not the opportunity that most people perceive it to be. Most people look at opportunity as, well, like Russell Brunson, like the ClickFunnels or the program or the class or the thing. What I discovered is probably about 17 years ago now. I started out in life, I was a welder because I knew further education as far as school wasn't for me. So I knew the next best thing is I better learn how to make money with my hands. So that's what I did. I learned how to weld when I was in high school. I got a job welding. The last job I had was 15 years ago, and I started that job when I was 18 years old. And one reason why I started that is just like most people, money. I got a pay raise going from one job to the next. So I started this job at 18, and when I started there, they said, Frank, I'll tell you what, we'll make this agreement with you. You show up and you do just enough work, we'll pay you. And in 30 years, you can retire with full pension, insurance. Is a nice pension package. So this is obviously back in the 1900s, because you don't hear about pensions and retirement. But here I was, 18 years old. I was going to retire at 48. I was happy with that. I was going to do what I needed to do. And they sold the company. And this was a pretty big farm company. We made skid steer loaders, which most people call them bobcats, machinery or equipment. And so I think I was 23, 24 years old. I've been working there 4 or 5 years, and they changed the deal. They sold the company, and they started restructuring retirement and vacations and all this stuff. And so they made it to where you would have to work till you were 55 years old to get your retirement. And so it kind of struck a nerve with me. I've always been kind of hard-headed. And I remember where I was standing, the parts rack that I was standing underneath, when I got to thinking about it and looking around, and just realized that nobody doing what I was doing 30 years longer than I had done it or had the lifestyle I wanted. Every welder that I knew, they came in, they were hacking up their lungs, they were burned up, used up, broke up. I mean, you name it. And so what I did is I knew, from the first coming out of high school and that first welding job, I went from job 1 to job 2 because of a pay raise. And so I thought, well, you know what? I know these guys that fix hell damage on cars, and it's just working with your hands, and my hands are pretty smart. So I literally couldn't get anybody to teach me. The people that were going to teach me back then wanted $20,000 to do it. It would have been worth it, but being the hard-headed me, I bought a $100 videotape, VHS tape. And so the opportunity was, when I was standing under that parts rack, was to take action on the decision. So many people have what they think is the opportunity. They have maybe some, like I said, a class or a course or a thing, but the massive action is the opportunity. And so that's my history, my background on that. So I literally bought a $100 VHS tape on how to fix hail damage on cars. Spent maybe 5-10 hours a week just teaching myself. my dad and I, we worked on cars and stuff my whole life. So we had parts laying around, and I would just practice on them until they were asking for volunteers for layoffs at work. I volunteered for a layoff. And I literally opened the phone book, started calling body shops and dealerships, and that's one of my sayings. I beat the street so hard someday they'll send me a bill for the potholes. In March, that'll be 15 years.
That's wild. So that's Allied Dent Removal behind you, right?
Yeah.
The business you started?
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. So then how did the connection go from you reaching out to a bunch of local auto dealers, et cetera, telling them about the skill set that you had and it becoming your own shop?
At the time, my dad had truck repair. He worked on semis and big trucks my whole life, just by himself, small one-man shop. So I kind of knew, I learned a lot about how to talk to people and just to show up. I mean, you can get so much business by just being dependable and showing up.
True.
And it's amazing. And that's translating it into the digital world now. I've seen so many people that just don't show up. But what happens is, you go over here and you talk to Billy Bob, and you do a good job for Billy Bob. Well, then he knows, Fred over here at the next spot a couple miles down the road. And Fred knows Ted, and Ted knows Craig. And so once you do business with one person, and I've literally heard this so many times, like, oh, if you're good enough for him, you can do it for me. Oh, you're good enough for him. Yeah. And it just snowballs. And then once you become dependable, then it just, man, I haven't advertised in I don't know how many years, 5 years. And, I still get new people coming in. And, so that's kind of how that worked out.
That's incredible. I love that. So how did you go from Allied Dent Removal to Baby Beard Club, which, by the way, I have a baby beard. You have a godly beard. So this is something that I need. So how did that all get started?
It probably started with network marketing. I did that hustle for quite a while because what I've learned through business is I aimed way too low. When I set out in business, I set like Napoleon Hill. I had a burning desire to make $100,000 a year. I burnt my ships. I had a burning desire, and what I came to realize though is it's more important on how the money is made versus how much. So what happened was, here I've been being a small business owner for, I don't know, maybe between 5 and 10 years, and it's just more of the same. When you get down the road and you realize, okay, there's not an end point. I'm still trading time for money. I'm not making money while I sleep. Matter of fact, I'm losing money while I sleep, because if your refrigerator's running and you got heat in the house, you're losing money while you sleep. Not to mention inflation. Don't get me started on that. So here I was doing this network marketing, and some of the people that I've been working with, they were kind of like, hey, you know what, man, you're pretty sharp. Why don't you do your own thing? Why don't you do your own thing? So finally, like I said, I was hard-headed. Finally, I listened, and I just love the creation and kind of thinking up stuff, coming up with stuff. And so actually about a year and a half ago, I just bought a domain for 99 cents on GoDaddy. I kind of started to grow my little beard, and it was a little baby beard. And so I thought, man, why don't I just go look and see if Baby Beard or Baby Beard Club is available. And sure enough, it was available for $1. So I bought the domain. And then the guys on Home of the Hustle, Eddie and Jason, Justin, everybody was giving me a hard time. Baby Beard this, Baby Beard that. And when I decided to actually treat it like a business, what happened is I started to grow my beard. And when my wife, I know I'm chasing rabbits here, but so where the product came from, where the idea came from was just buying a domain. Where the product came from is my wife has Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid issue. It affects a lot of women, more women than it does men. And so like a lot of women, if they struggle with their weight or tiredness or sleepy, just like feel like they can't get going, it goes undiagnosed because a lot of doctors don't look at it from a natural pathway or so on. but it's the thyroid. It's up here by your Adam's apple. And so what that is an autoimmunity disease. So from the foods nowadays, all the processed stuff, it tears up your stomach. And in your stomach, it's kind of gross, but your stomach kind of leaks out into your body. And then your body gets like mixed signals and attacks itself. So it's autoimmunity, your body attacks itself. And so the reason why I tell that story is my wife realized she has this Hashimoto's. And one way to fix it is by having a really clean lifestyle. Your food's it's close to whole as you can get it, like straight off the cow still mooing, or eggs. We raise our own chickens and all that organic, all that good stuff. And so when I started to grow my beard, I said, hey, there's a couple spots that don't really grow in. She said, don't you go buy something, because she knew I'd want to go buy something. You see all the ads or whatever. And so she said, I make something for my eyelashes that was all natural, organic, holistic stuff. She said, I'll just change it for your beard so it smells a little more manly. And so what she did is she uses essential oils in her stuff, and she uses it for different things. I know essential oils are really big nowadays, but she made some beard oil. And the first night I used it, I slept really good. And I was like, wait a minute, what happened? Why did I sleep good? So she started telling me about essential oils and what they do and so on. So what else do they do? Kind of digging into it. And so when she started telling me, I was like, okay, there's a whole market within a market, or a niche in a niche, or a niche in a niche, however you want to say it, that nobody is tapping into. And that was the therapeutic effect of these essential oils, and basically using a beard oil as a carrier. And so what happens, like, we can make this one to help you sleep. Well, if you want to sleep, you want one maybe help you focus or get going during the day. And so from just kind of being aware and paying attention, I was like, okay, this is a viable product. And then, from the Rolodex that we built of relationships from Home of the Hustle, man, it just made it really easy to kind of just move on down the road.
That's wild. So then, so it's a beard oil and an essential oil combined, right?
Yeah, if you have an all natural beard oil, the whiskey barrel or whatever, it's made to smell that way with essential oils.
Huh.
And so nobody's really paid attention and realized there's this whole, doTERRA, Young Living, all these, profile, mostly women are fanatical about essential oils, and all these guys, they could care less, and this is a way to marry two markets with the essential oils and beard oil.
That's freaking genius. Huh. That's awesome. So then how often are you supposed to be putting beard oil in? Because even someone like myself, I'm not currently using beard oil. So how does that work?
For me, I usually do it twice a day. I like at night when I shower in the evening, I'll get it all dried up and stuff, and I'll put a little bit of lights out beard oil. It's got some lavender, chamomile, some whatever in it. And it kind of helps calm you down, and then it helps you sleep. And so the next day when I get up, mid-morning or something, I'll usually put a little bit of Get Shit Done, which is our focused concentration beard oil. Just, put a few drops and then rub it in during the day.
You just sold me. I'm a part of the Dollar Beard Club, and I keep getting these oils at the house, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this, and I've tried putting it on. I'm signing up for this tonight. I love that. That's awesome. I want some Get Shit Done beard oil.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and pivot to current projects. So obviously you've got the Baby Beard Club, and then you guys have Home of the Hustle. So going into 2018, what are you wanting to do with both of those projects?
Home of the Hustle, really, it's like we talked about a little bit before we got on here. There was, another realization. I think I kind of read Sell or Be Sold, Grant Cardone's book, and I was building a network marketing company, and then you kind of get that mastermind, which Napoleon Hill talks about it, or if you read Stealing Fire, the hive mind, you kind of get this mindset going with 2 or 3 people and bouncing ideas. And so we realized, and just kind of watching what people are doing on Facebook, is, for me, I was stuck at this kind of 6-figure level of business. I want to go to 7-figure. So it's obviously something that I don't know, or somebody that doesn't know me, or I don't know them. So what better way to do it than like what you're doing right now is to create an interview show where, I can reach out to, millionaires, even billionaires, and say, hey, what, you want to come on our show? Like this week, you said Dollar Beard. I'm actually having Alex Brown, one of the Dollar Beard Club founders, on Wednesday.
It's wild.
And so, we reach out, and, that does several things. We obviously we get some information that helps us, but then we get to turn that around, just like you're doing with a podcast, and we get to help an audience get new information. But then also what we noticed right away, what that does is when you go to an event, if it's any way connected to your show, you're elevated just a little bit above the crowd because people recognize your face, especially if you have a beard like mine. Man, 2017, I just said, forget about trying to dress up. Just go and frank it up.
That's awesome.
And so, like, we went to the Thrive Make Money Matter event by Cole and Sonia Hatter, right?
You were at Thrive.
Yeah.
I thought the beard looked familiar.
Yeah, I had the vegetarian shirt on.
Yes, that's why you look familiar. Okay. There we go.
See what I'm saying? Branding.
Yeah.
So the Friday before the event, I interviewed Sonia. And so when I walk into the event, there was a lot of people like, oh, you're the dude that interviewed. Oh, you're the bearded dude. I'm just some knucklehead from Kansas. I'm nothing special, but by doing a show and being intentional about, hey, we're going to here, I'm going to do everything I can to get in front of these people before I get there. And sure enough, I get there, and voila, there's a bunch of people like, hey, you're that guy. Oh, you're that guy. And so that's awesome. So what we want to do with that long term is we want to do a live show where we can kind of tell some of our stories, bring other people in, speakers and so on. And it's
you want to have your own conference.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So where would you do it in the country?
Vegas, Las Vegas, because one of my partners, Eddie Martin, lives out there. It's easy, convenient to get there and do something. But what we really noticed is just it's kind of just a Rolodex builder, a relationship funnel. And when I started Baby Beard Club, there were people that I'd met at 10X Growth Con, like Cody Neer. The guy's just a stud when it comes to ClickFunnels and Shopify. He does 7 figures on Shopify. And he kept telling me, he's like, dude, quit messing with that network marketing thing you're doing and do something. He says, you got the brain, go do this. So finally, when I started to realize that, Baby Beard Club was a viable business, I had a guy to build my Shopify, build my store. And then through our Rolodex of Home of the Hustle, Eddie Martin knows Rob Cicada went in there. Rob said, hey, I know this. He does branding and marketing, and he's looking for a little bit of work. And so I said, hey, what can you do with a couple grand? Well, this guy, he did all the branding for Onnit, which is a brain supplement company that blew up pretty big. But he did all their branding, their labels, and how it all looks. That's the guy that did my labels for my bottles. And so by doing what you're doing here is, one thing it's doing is building a Rolodex of people that know who you are, know who we are. And so on Home of the Hustle, what we saw is that, with so many Facebook shows, is that there's the guy or the girl. And so you have almost 1 in 4 chance of connecting with somebody's personality. If you follow the DISC or the Myers-Briggs, whatever. So you have like a 1 in 4 chance, maybe, a 50-50 if you can kind of catch them in the middle of connecting with people. Eddie has experiences that I don't. Jason has experience. Jason Daniels, Mr. Monday Night, has experiences that I don't. Justin Myers, the Science Chef, the Pirate Hunter. That guy has experiences that I don't have. If you don't know, he's the guy that actually pulled the trigger that shot a Somali pirate boat in 2010. our show on Friday in counterintelligence. So what we decided to do is instead of just having, the guy, we spread it out, and that just also increases, it magnifies our influence across the board.
That's wild. So then question for you. When you guys are doing Home of the Hustle, obviously you have shows each night, but do you all try and go live at the same time and you're all on typically, or do each of you have like your own segments and your own shows?
Each of us have a night. So like Monday night, we call it Coach's Corner, Mr. Monday. Jason Daniels does Mondays, Tuesday, and then Friday we have Freedom Friday, and what we do highlight veterans and veteran entrepreneurs that are coming up with businesses or kind of making the transition.
That's awesome. I love that. That's really cool. Well, I want to respect your time, Frank, of course. So I'm going to ask you the last question I ask everyone, and that's, is there anything on your heart or on your mind right now that you either want people to know about you or just a specific cause?
Yeah, the cause, most of the stuff I do on social media, is I try to tell stories, and my big thing is protecting the family and bettering our country. And for me, I know what that means for me, and that means number one, focusing on me and growing me. There's been a lot of shit storms in my life of things. Being in business for almost 15 years, being married for almost 6 years, having 2 kids. There's a lot of obstacles that we have gone through, and it's the things that have happened for me. So in life, what I've done is that, okay, I've come through this, but I didn't die. And so that's why I started the community, Armored Up Man. And the reason for that is so that maybe I can go in there and, just like Home of the Hustle, develop these relationships and develop these friendships and focus on growing men. Men being men, taking 100% responsibility for themselves and their lives and where they're at. I realize all their choices up to now is what got them where they're at. And so that's my passion and where I feel my purpose is at. And that ties in perfect with a beard company, because then I can be, associated, tied to men, and then hopefully leverage some influence into people's lives and say, yeah, man, I understand. Yeah. Oh, your wife spent too much money. Oh, hey, yeah, man, I feel you. It's not your fault, but guess what? Your responsibility. You're a man, right? Then it's your responsibility. Oh, hey, you had an argument with your wife. Oh, man, I tell you what, that sucks. That's horrible. I've been there probably way worse than a lot of people have been there. Guess what? That's your responsibility. So it comes down to communication and learning how to communicate. A quick little story, like this morning, my wife saw the video about the kid that got bullied.
Yep.
And she said, man, you got to watch this. You got to watch this. And so I'm watching it, and she's across the counter from me, and she's in tears just listening to it. And I'm watching. I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. Yeah, kid got bullied. All right, what's next? And I don't have that emotional connection. But realizing that's why we're together. That's why, if you want to, call it God or whatever, designed a marriage. She has what I don't, and I have what she doesn't. And so the longest time, that was a cause of conflict until I learned who I was and how I was built. And then I had a solid foundation to understand her and understand whose thinking she was thinking. And it's not always our own. It's from our families, our friends, our books, or movies, or TVs. And so that's what Armored Up Man is, kind of knowing why you believe what you believe. And if you're going to build an empire, it needs to be built on a solid foundation. That's why they put mobile homes on wheels.
That's so true. That's awesome. I've got my Facebook pulled up right now. Say that again. What's the name of the group?
Armored Up Man.
There it is. Perfect. Found it. Click. Join group. I love it. Awesome. Frank, thanks so much for being on. I really appreciate everything you've said. Great life advice. I definitely want to join Armored Up Man. Guys, for those of you watching live right now or the replay, I'm going to add all the links down below. Please go follow Frank. Reach out to him. The guy's as real as can be. Who you see right here is who he really is. Armored Up Man, for those of you men that have watched this, highly recommend you join that group as well. And obviously, go buy some Baby Beard Club oil, because I'm going to do that right now, and then join Home of the Hustle and watch their shows 5 times a week. Frank, really appreciate having you on. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we end the show?
No, Jordan, I appreciate you asking me, and having me on. I really do.
Of course. Thank you, sir. Have a good one.